Dysfunctional vet here. It's about 4 in the morning. It's about the time that I tend to wake up. We have some cloud cover that's obscuring the moon. You can see it moving there in the camera. And I'm getting ready to put together a series of videos on encryption and security, communication security. Almost everybody that I am friends with are retired or retiring. In my case, I retired in 2008. I retired from retirement in 2010, and then I retired from retirement after I had retired in 2012. I retired in 2015 when I finished my degree in green energy. And then I retired again in 2017 when the oil company I was working for sold the lease I was working on. And I was pretty much out of a job. Last one hired, first to go, as I had the least amount of experience. But let's get to communication security. If you're in business, doesn't matter what business it is, there are people that are going to be wanting to compete with you, and they're going to watch your customer list. They're going to want to know what your income is and other things like that. Well, a lot of my friends that are retired are very interested in military history. Some of them have started small businesses, and we've discussed communication security. They have to be able to talk to their clients. They have to be able to talk to their manufactured sources that they use for materials and that kind of stuff. Some of these products are called JIT, or just in time. In other words, you don't want a lot of material that's overhead money's out of pocket, but you're not spending, so you want it delivered. Now, one of the problems is the shortage in America right now is manufactured. If you can get any actual real live information on the problems in California, those are caused by regulations that are in place basically just to break the supply chain. There's tons of ships out there. There's also another problem which I've read about, and that is they are not loading empty shipping containers back on ships, apparently, because if they don't have shipping containers, they can't ship, and that's creating a problem because they don't have anywhere to offload because they have all those empty containers. And if you have watched the news, you've seen the guys that jump on the trains as they're coming out of the shipyards, and they break into the trucks and just start throwing the packages off, and then the gang members get out there and loot the packages. They take the product and they leave the boxes. I've seen a lot of films on that, and the police department's pretty much turning a blind eye to that because they can't deal with like smash and grabs and that kind of stuff, which is still coming back to the issue of communication security or encrypted communications. Having been in the military, I've had to work with this good stuff. And some of my buds have asked me to put together some videos, seeing as how they are not real close to where I'm at, that they can watch and learn a little bit about encryption. So I'll be putting that together, and the first one that I'm going to be doing is going to be on what is called the aristocrat, which is just a simple substitution cipher. I'll show you how that works, and then we'll start breaking into the more complex, into stuff like Playfair, the Trifid, rail fence, which is my favorite. That is a Civil War era encryption, and believe it or not, there are messages that were intercepted during the Civil War that to this day have not been broken, even with supercomputers. They can't break the messages. And I'll be covering all this stuff. Now, all this is going to be low tech. A whole bunch of this material, believe it or not, with an AT or XT computer, assuming that someone's old enough to even know what those are, have enough power to break these encryptions fairly easy. The data encryption standard, what you do is you take a character, it consists of eight bits, right? And you rearrange those bits. And you do that for each word. You arrange the bits. If there's a space, you rearrange it and so forth. And then the words are chopped up, and then they're reordered, and then they're chopped up again, and then they reorder the bits and all that good stuff. And this process of chopping everything up occurs 8 times, I believe, and then it's done eight different systematic ways. That's the data encryption standard. You can look it up. It's Bureau of Standards set by NSA, or National Security Agency. Using what's called linear encryption, and I forget how many probabilities that exist. Linear encryption is not supposed to be broken for a very long time. Back when I was in the military, it was thousands of years before an encryption key would repeat, which would make breaking a cipher possible, but you only use it for about 24 hours. With the linear encryption, it may be thousands and thousands of years before it repeats. I haven't researched this because, I mean, somebody that's really into this is going to care, and I'm not one of those people. But this is the takeaway from this video that you need to listen to, and you need to listen real carefully. A repeated key for multiple messages make anything that you encrypt easy to break. In addition to that, if it's an online encryption, such as when you log into your bank or something, if someone is able, and it's called man in the middle, you can look this up, man in the middle, I guess it's called Intercept, but it's a way that people would hack information for banks, and they've corrected that now. But if someone is able to catch you at the exact moment in which the encryption happens, they can read the traffic because they have the encryption key, seeing how there's a handshake from your PC to the banking institute. So remember something, whenever you're doing online banking or anything else, the security that you have with your online banking is only as good as the nodes are that have not been compromised. So I'll get more into the actual encryption process, not so much the hacking of things, because there are 10,000 people that are much more aware of what's going on with computers than I am, Snowden being one of them. So I hope that you'll continue to watch. I'll try to remember to put on all of mine. It'll start with encryption, and then I'll give the title, like say encryption aristocrat, and then encryption Trifid, encryption rail fence, encryption Enigma, which brings me to something that as soon as I do the aristocrat, I'll be going into, and it's a tool from I believe it's called creativelab.com. I'll verify that, and I'll stick it on the screen here. They have what they call an Enigma ruler, and I've been playing with that because a friend of mine is interested in encryption. He's been asking me questions about it. He has not yet joined the American Cryptogram Association. I will stick that on the screen. But we were talking about this, and the Enigma ruler that the little people put out, it's a simple thing. I mean, it's a kid's toy, but it actually has good applications for short messages where low security, because an AT or XT computer back from the day would actually be capable of breaking it now. Back when PC Basic and Fortran were basically the only languages around, it's actually a pretty good cipher system. And for messages between husband and wife that you don't want anybody else to read, I think it's a real good system. Of course, people are going to be annoyed having to actually do something, but there was a time when people weren't lazy fat and sassy like they are now. With that said, dysfunctional vat out.